All right, guys, time for another Patreon question. This one comes from Foxface, and they ask, conventions and expos seem a long ways off right now. What are some of your favorites? So in addition to the people that I normally have help me answer these questions, I've also reached out to other YouTubers and friends for sort of a new and fresh perspective on this. And so we're going to start with Irene.
I have actually only been to one convention in my entire life, and I've been there 3 years in a row, except this year because 2020 is being 2020. And the convention that I have been to is called Retrospillmessen, which literally translates to Retro Games Convention. And I have actually made videos each year that I've been there, so I actually looked at them right now before filming this, and a lot of good memories are coming back to me, definitely. Especially when it comes to the first time that I ever went to a convention. First time ever. I remember that it was overwhelming because I live in northern Norway and we don't have anything like that up here, so I just remember being extremely excited, like a little kid. And the first year I went, I actually got to meet the Game Chasers and YouTubers like Patty NES Punk, the Gaming Historian, and the Completionist. The convention also has a lot of guests each year, and David Wise, the composer of Donkey Kong music, has been there each year. And then in 2018 we got Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario. That was also the year that I tricked the Completionists into believing that Norway has polar bears. Everything is so different when I'm at a convention compared to my, normal day-to-day life, because it's like a hobby heaven for me. I get to try out all these machines and systems that I have never seen before, like the Virtual Boy. And the thing is, each year that I've been to this convention, I actually made friends the first year that I have met consistently each and every year since at the convention. So we are actually like a group of friends now meeting down there, and a bunch of them are also traveling from afar to come to this convention. I actually watched the video of last year and I just gotta show this.
What's your dream guest?
MetalJesusRocks.
Everything is so well put together. There's so many things to do and look at. It's like a little vacation when I go every year. I wish I could go this year, but it was cancelled. You can be as nerd as you want. And I love it. I just love the vibe of conventions, the entire thing, the entire concept. And I will be there each year that it is. Thank you so much for having me this time. I will see you around.
So, conventions! God, I miss conventions. And it's so hard to pick a favorite, actually, because I don't really think I've been to a bad one, necessarily. Like, they've all had something good about them, and they've all been so much fun. A few standouts for me, though, are, of course, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. One of my highlights of the year. I was very sad when I heard it was canceled, even though I totally understood. But, you know what? 2021, PRGE is going to be great. I can feel it now. But, like, Portland's such a fun city, that's such a huge expo that pretty much all of my friends in the retro community, if they go to one, they go to Portland. So I can see everybody. There's great beer in Portland, so it's always a good show. Another one of my favorites is VRGE, or the Vancouver Retro Gaming Expo. That's up in Canada. And that one's really fun because it's only a one-day show that always has great vendors. So I always find a whole bunch of stuff I can buy there. And it's a one-day show, so it's not too overwhelming, and it gives me a chance to make it more of a vacation. So then I go up there, for 4 days or whatever. One day's the show, and the rest of it, I'm a tourist. It's great. It's so much fun. And, of course, as every convention, I have a bunch of friends who go to that one. So conventions, I think, to me, are way more about, like, the people you meet and the friends you see, and it's all about community, and that's what makes conventions so great, especially retro conventions. And I don't just go to retro conventions. Another one I love is PAX East, because Boston is such a cool city, and that show, I just really like how it's more in one area versus some of the other PAXs, versus PAX West. And I just love PAX East. I'm not really sure why. I go every year pretty much lately with Devolver, and it's always such a blast. So yeah, those are some of my favorite conventions.
I love attending video game conventions. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Allows me to travel. It allows me to try the regional food. I'm a huge regional foodie. It allows me to try the local beer and meet these people that I talk to online all the time and actually get to meet them and see them face to face. It's a wonderful experience. And I'm thinking about some of my favorite video game convention memories, and I think about like a video game con in New Jersey. Allows me to try pork roll for the first time because I'm in New Jersey. My buddy David and I, we went to Digital Press, the big old video game store. We went to New York City because it was so close. I tried my first, what he called a dirty water dog. Had my first street vendor hot dog. Went to the Nintendo New York store, and all because I went to a video game con because it was all in proximity. You know, I think of things like, too many games. I had my first Wawa experience. That was important for me. I went to Retro Game Con in Syracuse, New York, which was a long way from home, but they had the strong museum of play, home of the Toy Hall of Fame, home of the Video Game Hall of Fame. My buddies Ken and Nintendo went up there for the day, had a wonderful time. Of course, got to think about Game On Expo and just lounging poolside with my friends, or going to that weird pinball club in the back in the cooler of some pizza restaurant in Phoenix, Arizona. And none of this would have happened if it wasn't for those video game conventions. I think about some of my favorite memories, and some of my favorite memories happen just outside of the convention, but the convention itself is what's holding it all together. It's what's bringing us all together, what's bringing us all in the same spot at the same time. Both myself and my friends and the Metal Jesus crew and all that, oftentimes, and then other content creators, and then just from there we can actually just hang out and stuff, and we don't even have to talk shop. We just enjoy each other's company and talk about video games. It's what we're doing now. Mo GameCon. I have a tremendous admiration for the video game convention in Missouri GameCon. It was the first convention that flew me out there to host a panel. They covered my flight and hotel and had me out there, and it was a weird experience for me because they treated me like royalty. And it's like I'm a fan just like all y'all, I would have been here whether I was hosting a panel or not. So a lot of love for video game conventions, and I know we're in a weird time right now, but this thing will be lifted sooner or later, and when it does, when it's safe, we'll be back in full force, man. I'm looking forward to it.
There's really only a couple of conventions I go to every single year. I try to hit like one new one every year, and hopefully someday I will have seen all of them. Kind of a lofty goal. I don't know if that's really going to happen or not. But the best one, and I'm sure this is literally everybody's answer, is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It's the biggest and the best one. If you go to one show, that's probably the one you should go to. It's just a huge vendor hall, tons and tons of deals. There's also a really amazing live auction. They started selling booze and food, so it gets especially lively. They have great guests, great panels. And the past 3 years, I've also curated the pop-up museum, or helped curate the pop-up museums there as part of my work with the Video Game History Foundation. So that part has been really fun, and hopefully can get back to doing that eventually. Beyond that, I hit new conventions every year, so it's kind of hard to say which ones I miss and love the most. MagFest is kind of my new obsession. It's not really a retro gaming show, so I think there's maybe 2 or 3 actual vendors selling retro games, but it's a really, really fun convention centered around music and games. Of course, there's Mo GameCon, there's Game On. There's just so many awesome ones. It's kind of hard to say which one's the best. It's just kind of wherever my friends are and wherever there are good deals to be had. So I miss conventions. They'll be back eventually.
Oh, time for another brewski. Wait, Metal Jesus? What are you doing in my mini fridge? Is there like some kind of weird portal from Washington to Arizona in here? Well, nothing much would surprise me right now anyways. This year's been pretty crazy. Speaking of this year being crazy, we've got no freaking conventions this year. It's like, what the crap? I love gaming conventions. I dress up as Super Buff Mario. I've done Hagar from Final Fight, and a bunch of others. But on top of that, you get to see amazing things at conventions. And one of my favorite conventions is Game On Expo in Phoenix, Arizona. This is the very first year that it has not happened in like the last 6 years or 5 years. I don't know. But the things I love about Game On is it brings the best of retro and modern gaming together. And you get guests like the Game Chasers, yourself, myself, John Riggs, the whole Metal Jesus crew. You even get Pat the NES Punk and all kinds of other great, amazing things. There's tons of vendors, tons of cosplayers, tons of just awesome times to be had. especially in hidden pizza disco clubs. More on that in another video. I'll see you around. Later.
The Immortal John Hancock here, and I've been part of the retro gaming community for a long time. Some of you may not know that I actually was one of the original organizers of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And some of those early shows were quite fun. They were smaller in size, and there was just kind of definitely a strong community back in the day. And so after many years, I stepped down and actually was the founder of Cowlitz Gamers for Kids, and that was a charity expo that went on in Longview, Washington for 10 years, and it concluded this last year. It went on a long time, had many positive memories of that too. So I have several memories from many different expos that I've attended across the United States. Just a few, when Thor Ackerlund came to Cowlitz Gamers for Kids, it was one of the first expos that he publicly went to after his NWC championship back in the 90s. And so it was really an honor for him to attend a Cowlitz Gamers to support it. Thank you to Robin Mihara for helping assist with that. It was a lot of fun having them at the expo, gaming with them, quite a lot of fun. I have several other positive memories of just hanging out with the Metal Jesus crew, just hanging out, doing panels together. The other few that were really special to me are when my Nintendo Entertainment System collection was on public display, as well as my Sega Genesis collection. Those took quite a bit of time to transport and put together, and it was a lot of fun to have those on public display. And so really those were big moments for me to have part of my collection on public display, and just looking forward to these conventions happening again and seeing the many people and fans and collectors out working together, and just would like to do that once again. Hopefully we can.
Kind of like what the others said, I've never really had a bad experience at a retro gaming expo. They've all been really amazing and really unique, and I've pretty much loved every single one of them. Some of the standouts definitely are the Missouri, the Mo Game Con. That was just an amazing time. The hospitality at that expo was second to none. It was such a great expo and such a great experience. I'd love to go back. Also Pasadena down there, the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo was really fun. It's such a beautiful part of California, and the expo is right next to all these great places to go eat, and the people were awesome. It was really cool. Also a huge shout out to Phoenix and the Game On Expo, which I think is just absolutely top notch and world class and so much fun. But really my heart and my love goes to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. That's no surprise to anybody because it's so epic, so awesome. Everything's there, and I just look forward to it every single year. And the other thing I want to mention too is that you know, it's not just about getting games, although that's certainly part of it, and that's obviously really fun. But if you are sitting at home and you just feel like nobody gets you, or you know, maybe your husband, your wife, your friends, your neighbors, your family, they just don't understand the retro gaming passion that you might have, the hobby, man, I'm telling you, you got to go to a retro gaming convention because it's your tribe, it's your peeps. You will go and you'll be surrounded by people who are just as passionate as you are, and you'll just learn a bunch of stuff. You'll meet a bunch of cool people. Man, I'm telling you, it's one of the best times you'll ever have. And even if you have to fly there, even if it costs a little bit of money to go, save up, plan, you'll never regret it. You know, it's a very special time. The other thing I would probably like to eventually do, hopefully maybe next year, is travel outside of the US. I've had offers before, but they haven't really worked out. It's funny because I don't like to fly, but I love to travel. And so it would be really cool to go over to Europe and do some of those conventions. I got an offer last year to potentially go down to Brazil. And again, I think it was for this year, but it just, of course, never worked out. But that would be really interesting and fun too. So who knows what the future will bring. Now, I will also say that a lot of these expos are doing online versions this year to kind of keep the community solid and, you know, kind of keep top of mind and kind of bring people together, even if it's only virtually. and I will be part of, as well as a lot of the people in this video, will take part in those as well. So if you're interested in joining some of those online ones and seeing some of the discussions and being part of the chat, well, join. I think most of them are free, so I'll put a link down in the video description below. All right, great question. Thank you very much.